Welcome to the October 26, 2023 Parma City School District Board of Education meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Ms. Nucio.
Mrs. Bratz.
Present.
Mr. Ruda.
Present.
Mrs. Schwark.
Present.
Mr. Strikert.
Present.
Mr. Vaughn.
Present. Dr. Smiley, can you please confirm this meeting is currently being live streamed?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Can you please monitor the live streaming throughout the meeting, and if there is a problem, please speak up immediately so that the technical difficulty can be addressed.
Yes, we will.
Thank you, sir. And welcome to our new spots here at Normandy High School. I feel like I went into a flashback sitting up here. It's been quite a few years at this place. Anyway, Dr. Smiley, I turn this over to you for your Farmer Proud.
Sure. We have a series of families tonight from Hillside Middle School. We're very happy that you were able to join us. Mrs. Cook is going to describe specifically what brought you to us this evening. But in general, I would say that we have decided this year to recognize at each board meeting a family or a series of families that have demonstrated outstanding resilience. In other words, they have faced some type of challenge, and yet they have really kept their focus on education and are really upstanding citizens and members of the school community, despite maybe some adversity they've worked through as they've encountered their school years. So very excited this evening to lead off that series of presentations with Mrs. Michelle Cook from Hillside.
So each and every day, we are so lucky to be able to work with students with diverse backgrounds and very different experiences. Many of these students, due to some of the obstacles in their lives, have to work a lot harder than some other students. In order to be successful, they have to overcome these adversities. Some of the adversities that our students face, not just at Hillside, but in any school in America today, they have adversities such as divorce, death of loved ones, parental alcohol and drug addiction, health issues, homelessness, abuse, poverty, domestic violence, mental illness, and there are so many more things that our kids have to overcome every day. So in order to overcome these adversities, our students have to be resilient. I guess I should have been using my clicker here. In order to be resilient, our kids have to have the ability to adapt well while facing adversity, trauma, tragedy, or significant stress. So the students here tonight are more than just resilient. They are amazing. They each have overcome obstacles in their lives, and they have still been successful. And we needed to take the time to say thank you because it is very, very difficult, and we understand that. So we would love for not just our students, but also our families to come forward with each of them, because truly without the support of their families, whether it be mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, whoever it is, they would not be here today. And the families that we are honoring tonight as well are wonderful to work with. They're collaborative, and we want to thank not only the students, but the families. So first, can I please have Olivia Garvin come on forward? Olivia, while you're waiting for that, I'm just going to read the quote that we put up here for you. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them.
Oh, nice job, Olivia.
Our next student, wonderful student here, is Quentin Phillips. Quentin, strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. When you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that is strength. And that quote is by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Good job, Quentin.
All right, our next one is, I don't think, oh, yes. You guys snuck in, I didn't even see. Ben and Vincent Hiltichuk. Oh, Ben is under the weather today. All right, well, please let him know that we say thank you. Being challenged in life is inevitable. Being defeated is optional. Roger Crawford. Thank you.
Very good.
And I don't see one of our students. This is for Jeremy Chuba Sagbe. So just want to recognize him as also being somebody who has overcome a lot in his life as well. And our famous triplets, come on up. We have Jessica, Jacob, and John Chuba. Obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it. Michael Jordan.
Good job.
So again, we have so many students at Hillside, and again, in every school all around the world that are struggling and have been resilient. So I don't want to take that away from anyone else who has been resilient, but I just want to say that these kids are amazing, and they have overcome some incredible struggles, and they are coming out ahead, and we are so proud of them. So my last slide, I just want to say that our differences truly are what make us alike. These kids are strong, they will survive, they will fight, and they are definitely leaders. So thank you all of you guys and your families for doing everything you do. You are awesome, and we love you.
Olivia's a little shy.
Thank you, Mrs. Cook. Thank you for leading off this series of presentations that we will look forward to hearing from each of our schools about different families who have overcome various types of adversity. Thank you, families, for coming tonight. I think one more round of applause. I think these families certainly deserve it. And families, this is a great time to leave. If you would like, you're certainly welcome to stay, but this is a socially appropriate time to leave. We do have a business meeting, which again, you're welcome to view, but most folks choose to go on about their evening. So thank you, Mrs. Cook. Thank you to the Hillside administration, too, Mr. Gildu and Mrs. Gomidski are here as well. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
We will keep moving, sir. Information to the board. We did complete, we're at about 97% efficiency on our move at this point. We still are waiting for the treasurer's office to join us over at Parma Park. But we moved in terms of most of the central office functions are now either at Parma Park or at Arlington. I know our communications department has posted the differences between the two. So if anyone is trying to access any services in person, we encourage you to check our website, check social media to make sure that you know if you're heading either to Parma Park or to Arlington, as really there are functions that always used to be in one place, now split between two. We certainly don't want to waste your time. Luckily, it's only about a 5-minute drive, so if you get the wrong place, you're just going to head west to Parma Park. Personally, I am enjoying it quite a bit. It's great to be in a school. We see students now up and down the hallway constantly. There's a lot of livelihood, a lot of personalities, a lot of character, and it's great to see them. Also to the board, I did promise to present our parent responses, and that's going to have to wait until the next board meeting. We had some additional responses come in after I started to collate, and so wanted to make sure there were about 25 different responses, so we want to make sure that we have the time to properly acknowledge their responses before we present. So we will present at the next board meeting, and we'll actually take that survey down now so that we don't have to, continually push this back. So we look forward to that. Finally, the Valley Forge playoff football game is tomorrow night. We're proud of our Valley Forge Patriots. They've finished 11th out of 25 teams in their division, and they have made the playoffs, which is a distinction. And so we're proud of them. We will have a clap out for them at 1:45 at Valley Forge tomorrow. We're excited for that and look forward to celebrating, and hopefully they can keep rolling. 1 win would be great, 2 wins would be even better, and 3 wins, you're starting to look at almost a state berth. So hopefully our Valley Forge Patriots in the first year under Coach Lajeda will continue to make progress in our state playoffs. And one other sort of, not necessarily school event, but one other point I wanted to acknowledge. A large number of our staff and students this week participated in an event called Autism Speaks Walk that was downtown. We had about 25 different adults participate, and then we had about 15 or 20 kids from Normandy's cosmetology program. We were really proud to be able to provide a face painting service from our cosmetology students. That was a great add to that event. It's certainly a nice partner for us to have in recognizing and helping bring awareness to autism, and certainly we have a very strong program for students with autism in our ACEs unit. And we saw some of our ACEs students and parents down there, so that was great. But it really was a strong representation on a very cold and windy Sunday morning to have that many students and adults participate. So thank you to Mrs. Cooney, too, who brought together the students from Normandy's cosmetology program. Again, anytime we can get our students participating in that type of service activity, it really brings a lot of pride to us as a school district. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. This brings us to communications. Mrs. Bratz?
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn.
You have a couple of
Just have a couple of things to mention this evening. First of all, almost all of the elementaries, I believe, and some of the secondaries are doing trunk or treat activities at their buildings where anybody that wants to participate pulls in their car, and they're decorated, and they hand out candy from their trunk to all the little squirts that are running around in their costumes, all dressed up, and having a wonderful time catching all that candy that they can at all the different trunks. So that's been a lot of fun. And right here last night at Normandy, there was the annual Trick or Treat Street, and they do it out in the parking lot on the west side of the building. And what's great, or a little bit different about that one, is many of the groups, organizations, and teams here at the high school host tables, and the children from the elementary schools come around and get little goodies, participate in the different games and activities that are provided at each of the tables, and that's a lot of fun for all the little kids. Very well attended, several hundred people, so that's a lot of fun. And the other thing that I will let you know is I've mentioned before that the Parma City Schools Historical Museum crew is putting on a history of Parma City Schools, which also includes a lot of history about the city of Parma and some Parma Heights too, because they used to be many years ago one community or one city. And their final presentation for part 1 will be on Wednesday, November 15th at 2:30 in the afternoon at the Parma Heights Library. You're all welcome to attend if you would like. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not the Parma Heights Library, it's the Parma Snow Library on Snow Road. The last one was at the Parma Heights Library. So they'll be at the Parma Snow Library on November 15th. It's a lot of fun. It's an interesting presentation if you have a chance and you'd like to see it. And that's all. Thank you, Mr.
Excellent. I did attend 2 of the trick-or-treat things. I was at the Parma Park when I was at trunk or treat, and there are some very creative people there. Very creative, very impressive. So I did spend some time there. And then, of course, last night here at Normandy. That was a lot of fun. I saw a lot of hair being braided by the cosmetology girls and face painting, little baseball toss, and a myriad of costumes. It was really fun. It was really
Basketball
fun.
dunk.
Yep, there was a little of everything.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
They had a drum line. The drum line, we couldn't leave the
Oh,
band now. The drum
yeah.
line was up on the hill playing, so it was pretty good. Did
Had
their
a
Halloween
DJ
stuff.
here.
We did have DJ Brent, a former student here at Normandy, yeah, doing his deal. So you weren't done.
Yeah.
That's good. All
As
right. So
usual.
anything else?
That's all for this evening.
Thank you. Treasurer, Mr. Nucio?
I don't have anything tonight, but the next board meeting, I will have the 5-year forecast.
5-year forecast, next one?
Yep, I know you guys are all excited.
Yes. All right. We have PTA council report. All right.
You know what, we actually had a request too from Mr. Schuler, and this is the first time, so we appreciate that folks are working with us. Do you mind coming up here? It'll be better for the broadcast. Thank you.
Greetings from Parma. Greetings from Parma Council PTA. My name is Linda Nichols, and I'm the Parma Council PTA Secretary. Our fall festivities are happening all around. Be sure to check out on the social media pages. Thanks to those who have volunteered to host trunk or treat, donate candy, and help at fall festival events. PTAs sure are busy and appreciate the help. At our October council meeting, we had guests from Southwest Community-Based Services. They shared all the great services that they offer our community. The units also had a chance to meet with Megan Cooney and share community engagement activities that are going on. Mrs. Vanek also spoke about the state testing and assessments. Council passed a resolution to support issue 12. Remember to vote November 7th. Parma Council will be giving a donation in memory of Mr. Cruz to the PTA Scholarship Fund. Attendees brought canned food that we donated to the PEA food drive. This Wednesday, we held our annual fall training and treasurer tax filing for our units. The Council Poinsettia sale is here. Our sale runs from 11/17, being the plants being picked up on 11/29 at Valley Forge High School. You can place your orders online or drop off an order. We will have online ticket sales for raffle baskets 11/1 to 12/1. The winners will be drawn at our upcoming winter luncheon. Invitations have been sent out for this year's winter luncheon, and it'll be at the Schnitz Ale Brewery in Parma on Wednesday, 12/6. RSVPs to candy. Our next council PTA meeting is Wednesday, November 9th at 7 o'clock at Valley Forge High School. We will be collecting personal care products for women. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's see, okay, at this point, we open a meeting to public address the board on tonight's agenda items. Do we have such items? All right, so we'll move right along. Do you have any amendments?
We do. 2023-10-572, it's classified retirements. There's modification of some of the dates. Is that the one that you have, Mr. Vaughn?
I have the number, I think I have it wrong, no, I don't have that number.
Was it,
no.
what number do you have?
I have 10563. You said point something.
563 is the adoption amendments. I'm talking 572 is the one we're adopting. We're amending.
Is that further down?
Yeah, that's a classified
Just a second.
retirement.
Okay. All right, so I move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-563, adoption of amendments.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-563. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mr. Strikert,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mrs. Schwark.
Yes.
Resolution 2023-10-563 has been approved. I move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-564, the approval of the written record for proceedings from the October 12th, 2023 regular Board of Education meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-564. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mr. Striker,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mrs. Schwark,
Yes.
Resolution 2023-10-564 has been approved. This brings us to unfinished business. These policies were presented to us, and we chose to send them back to the committee. Dr. Smiley, can you give us an update?
Yes, I can. We discussed these in committee. We had some questions from Mrs. Bratz, and we worked through those. In all honesty, with the transition between last Thursday when we had that meeting and then the discussion that I then had with Mr. Ridgely, and today, honestly, I just didn't have time to get with Mrs. Hansel and put this into policy. So we will have the first reading of the additional revisions at the next board meeting. And again, I'm owning that and saying that we could have had that for tonight, but it just was a very tight timeline based on when we received the questions and the move that we worked through as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, so this brings us to curriculum. Mrs. Bratz.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. I move for the adoption of Resolution 2023-10565, granting authority to the administration to enter into a contract for the school health services with PSI Associates.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-565. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mrs. Schwark,
Yes.
Mr. Striker,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes, Resolution 2023-10-565 has been approved.
Unless another board member has anything to discuss this evening, this will conclude curriculum.
Thank you, Mrs. Bratz. That's very unusual.
Yeah.
This brings us to business. Mr. Ruda.
Yes, I move to adopt Resolution 2023-01-566, authorizing renewal of active shooter workplace violence insurance policy.
Second.
1-0.
What's that?
10-56.
I think you said it right.
Yeah, I thought I did. Anyway,
Okay. Are we okay? We can continue. We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-566. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Mr. Ruda,
yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mr. Striker,
Yes.
Mrs. Schwark,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes. Resolution 2023-10-566 has been approved.
Unless another board member has anything to discuss, this concludes business.
Wow.
Quick.
That's unusual.
Yes, it is.
All right, this brings us finance, Mrs. Bratz.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. I move to adopt Resolution 2023-10567, approval to enter into a contract with Grail LLC for Grail's Gallery.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-567. Any questions or comments from the board?
would you like to, want me to
Absolutely,
explain this?
I would
Okay.
love it for you to.
So this is a test, it's a blood test. It's offered to any employees over the age of 50 or employees over the age of 40 with certain risk factors, and Grail will just determine what the factors are. I don't determine if that people can have it. So it's a blood draw, and we'll pay 50%, the employee has to pay 50%. It's an enhanced benefit, and they can determine with the blood draw if you have 50 different types of cancers.
Oh, wow.
And,
Can I get one of that?
So it's like a screening. It's like
Yeah,
a
it's a
screening
screening,
thing? It's a
and-
screening.
so the blood draws, I asked them, well, where can they get blood draws? And there's two labs that they used. One's called Quest and the other one's called LabCorp, and they're both in Parma.
Okay.
So employees could go there. This is for the employees only. So
Okay.
it sounds like a great thing.
So employees only and not family of the
Correct.
employee?
Just
the
employees.
employee?
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Anybody else? Roll call, please.
I just have a question.
Oh, you
Is
have
it
a
the
question.
actual cancer or just the gene to have, like, for predisposition?
Probably
That I
genetic.
don't know. I don't know
Probably
the technical
genetic.
stuff on that.
I'm guessing genetic. Yeah, I would think just the genetics of it.
Probably so, but I can't say for certain.
Right. Okay, something to investigate for next time, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Roll call then, please.
Mrs. Bratz.
Yes.
Mr. Strikert.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda.
Yes.
Mrs. Schwark.
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, Resolution 2023-10-566 has been approved. No,
This is
567, sorry, my bad. So let me repeat that. So Resolution 2023-10-567 has been approved.
Okay, I move for the adoption of Resolution 2023-10568, approval of then and now certificates over $3,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-568. Any questions or comments from the board? I do want to ask.
It's a lot of
It's
candy.
got to be somebody's fundraiser.
It is, it's Mrs. Swinger's,
Now that I look back at
Mrs.
it.
Swinger's group when they fundraise, they go to New York City
Yeah, she was-
every year.
All right, very good. Anybody else, questions? No? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Bratz.
Yes.
Mr. Strikert.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda.
Yes.
Mrs. Schwark.
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, Resolution 2023-10-568 has been approved.
Unless another board member has anything to discuss this evening, this will conclude finance.
Thank you, Mrs. Bratz. Right back at you with legislation.
I'll
You have some
just
stuff?
do two quick things this evening. You may have seen in the news that the Ohio Department of Education is now officially the Ohio Department of Workforce Development. There had been some legal action opposing that change, but it has been approved by the courts. So instead of many of the responsibilities of the Ohio Department of Education being decided in the old format with our elected representatives, it is now going to be in the hands of the legislature and the governor's office. So we'll see how those changes develop. And the other thing that I will mention, of course, which has already had a little bit of a commercial tonight from Parma Council PTAs, Mrs. Nichols. We do have issue 12 levy on the ballot on November 7th, and it is the combination of two renewal levies. They are no tax increase. So these are levies that were passed many years ago, and as you know, because of legislation about 30 years ago, levy monies do not increase with inflation. So the dollar amount that was passed when these emergency levies were initially passed is the same dollar amount that the district gets today. And even though they're called emergency levies, they do become an important part of the funding of the school district. And these two levies together generate $15.7 million of the funding, which is a little over 10% of the funding of the school district, so it is significant. And if you have any questions, certainly let us know. Sometimes the ballot language is a little challenging when you go to the polls. So just to let you know, those are on the ballot. Please vote on November 7th. There are also other things on the ballot, so. And I'm going to leave it at there.
Just a couple things.
Yeah, I'm
Couple
going to
very
leave it at
important
that.
ones. All right.
And that will conclude legislation
All
for
right.
this evening, Mr. Vaughn.
Thank you, Mrs. Bratz. I appreciate you. This brings us to Human Resources, Mrs. Schwark.
I move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-569, approval of the following certificated exhibits: confirmation of certificated replacements, confirmation of stipend amounts, confirmation of supplemental appointments, confirmation of supplemental contracts, and approval of certificated non-compensated leaves of absence.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-569. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Ms. Nucio?
Mrs. Schwark.
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz.
Yes.
Mr. Ruda.
Yes.
Mr. Strikert.
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, Resolution 2023-10-569 has been approved.
Move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-570, acceptance of certified retirements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-570. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Mrs. Schwark,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mr. Strikert,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, Resolution 2023-10-570 has been approved.
Move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-571, approval of the following classified exhibits: confirmation of classified appointments, replacements, confirmation of classified changes, acceptance of classified resignations, approval of classified non-compensated leaves of absence.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-571.
Yes,
We okay?
we're good.
Or some muttering? Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Mrs. Schwark,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mr. Strikert,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, Resolution 2023-10-571 has been approved.
Move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-572 as amended, acceptance of classified retirements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-572 as amended. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Mrs. Schwark,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mr. Strikert,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, Resolution 2023-10-572 as amended has passed.
Move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-573, confirmation of classified administrative specialist for community outreach.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-573. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Mrs. Schwark,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mr. Strikert,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, Resolution 2023-10-573 has been approved.
Can I comment on that one?
Absolutely, sir.
Just want to thank Mr. Schuler, who is up in the booth. He has really been a really integral part of what we do in terms of our audiovisual program. He's run PAC TV for years. Obviously, he's been with us through the pandemic and streaming and all of the advancements that we have really tried to undertake to better connect with our community and realize our goal of transparency. And he's been very flexible. You know, at times we've had changes in that department, and he's always been very good at rolling with, you know, whatever the
Change.
evolution might be. And so we're sad to lose him. Certainly, Gary and I had a lot of conversations leading up to the resignation. I certainly understand and respect his rationale for his resignation, and we certainly wish him well and thank him for his distinguished service with the Parma City Schools.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gary.
Can I make a remark or two?
Or 5, sure. Go ahead.
Gary, you know I didn't want to vote for that, just so you know. I've known
It is you peeking your head up there. Now he ducks.
I've known Mr. Schuler since he was a kid in the district, so that's a long time, and we're going to miss you a lot. Gary did an outstanding job here, but of course, we wish you well, and just don't be a stranger. Come back and see us from time to time, or then I really will be mad at you, so. Anyway, thank you for everything, though. Wishing you well.
Thanks, Gary. Good luck to you.
Good luck, Gary.
Mr. Nucio?
We voted.
We already voted. Oh, okay. Spoke after? All right, well, this brings us to, sorry.
did.
So what were we on here? Is there anything else in human resources?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Unless another board member has anything to discuss, this concludes Human Resources.
Thank you, Mrs. Schwark. I'm back at you, though.
You're welcome, and thank you, Mr. Vaughn. I move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-574, approval of the following revised policies. Policy 1615, tobacco use prevention. Policy 2114, meeting state performance indications. Policy 2271, college credit plus. Policy 2412, homebound instruction program. Policy 3215, tobacco use prevention. Policy 4215, tobacco use prevention. Policy 5512, tobacco use prevention. Policy 8300, continuity of organizational operations plan. Policy 8390, animals on school property. Policy 8420.01, pandemics and other medical emergencies. Policy 8450.01, protective facial coverings during pandemic/epidemic events.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-574. Any questions or comments from the board?
I do have a question.
All right, Mrs. Bratz?
This was on my list of questions that I had given you about the other policies, Dr. Smilek, but I think there's a need with certain policies especially and in particular, and tonight I'm thinking about the tobacco use, that it would be important for us to communicate that to folks so that they understand that that is the expectation and it's a policy in the school district, because the policy book is, I don't know how thick, but it's really thick from last time I saw it, and I'm sure people aren't reading all of those sorts of things. So can that be accomplished?
Yeah, we do from time to time, because you're right, some policies are, I hate to say minutia, but they're really there in case you ever need them. And then some policies really affect daily lives of our staff and students, and you're right in that this can. And so what we will do and have done in the past is highlight those in Parma Proud, which is a frequent address to our staff. We send it to administrators every 2 weeks and then to everybody in our staff every other week as well. So every week a Parma Proud's going out to one of those two groups, and we will make sure to highlight that policy in both the administrative version and the one to all staff, because I agree in that this is not something that's sort of arcane in nature.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No? Ms. Nucio?
Mrs. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mr. Strikert,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes, Resolution 2023-10-574 has been approved.
Move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-575, approval of the following replacement policies. Policy 8120, volunteers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-575. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Mrs. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mr. Strikert,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes, Resolution 2023-10-575 has been approved.
Move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-576, approval of the removal of the following policies. Policy 3120.09 and 4120.09, both are volunteers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolutions 2023-10-576. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, Mr. Nucio?
Mrs. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mr. Strikert,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes, Resolution 2023-10-576 has been approved.
I have the first reading of the following revised policies. It's going to be Policy 5136, personal communication devices. Policy 5460, graduation requirements. Policy 7434, use of tobacco on school premises. Policy 8305, information security. Policy 9160, public attendance at school events. And unless another board member has anything to discuss, this concludes policies.
Thank you, Mrs. Schwartz.
Thank you.
Job well done. All right, do we have any information requested by board members? Dr. Smolik, anybody? No, I have to read it. At this point, we open the meeting to public address the board with comments and/or concerns. Do we have any such request? We have no requests. We do not need executive session at this time. So I move to adopt Resolution 2023-10-578 to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2023-10-578. Roll call, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mrs. Bratz,
Yes.
Mr. Strikert,
Yes.
Mr. Ruda,
Yes.
Mrs. Schwark.
Yes.
Thank you. Meeting's adjourned.